In this video, we're going to do some surgery, or a transplant, if you will. I'm actually going to take the innards out of my PC build and put them, for the most part, into my new Thermaltake case. And I'm going to install a new SSD drive and a drive selector. Now, I hope that gives you an idea of the difference in size between a mid-size case on the left and a full-size case on the right. Quite a difference. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I did a whole series of videos building this PC here. And it was basically a step-by-step process, taking you through the entire thing. This time around, I'm going to accomplish all of that in one video. So I'm not going to be as in-depth on this build. I'm going to assume that you already know a little bit about building a computer. Now, if you don't, again, I still have those series of videos posted on my channel here, and you can check them out. There's a link at the end of this video where you can actually watch me building this PC from parts, from basically unboxing all the pieces to putting it all together to firing it up for the first time. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything out of it and put it into my new case. I'm going to put a drive selector in there. I'm going to put 4 drives in there. Right now I have 2 drives in here, so I'm going to add 2 more. And then I'm going to put Windows on it. Windows 7 Ultimate, the same that I have on this PC right now. So without any further ado, let's start this up. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to open this up here. And what I need to do is I need to remove my SSD, I need to remove my HDD, my hard drive, and I need to remove my LightScribe DVD drive. I also have to remove the power supply here, and then the motherboard. I'm probably going to have to remove the graphics card separate from the motherboard. And then I'm going to try and remove the motherboard with the CPU and CPU cooler, because I don't want to have to remount the CPU cooler, but I'll have to if I have to. So, alright, as you can see, everything is stripped out of this computer. The only thing I did leave in here was the card reader, because I actually have a card reader on my Dell monitor. And since I have it actually built into the monitor, I don't need it on the machine. So, this is not going to go to waste. I'm actually going to put a Franken PC in here. I have bits and pieces laying around, and I actually bought 2 new items for it. I bought a new power supply, which is a low-end power supply, and I bought a new CPU for what I have. So that's for another video. Now it's time to put all the components that I took out of here into the new case. Alright, now I've got my giant full-size case here, and it actually has the mounting points already screwed in, which sometimes you have to put in yourself, but they're already in there, so that's nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install the power supply, I'm going to install the motherboard, and fortunately the motherboard didn't require me to remove the CPU cooler. So we're good on that. I don't have to reapply thermal paste, but if you need a refresher on how to apply thermal paste, I actually have a dedicated video for that, so check out my channel for that. But again, fortunately, I don't have to do that. So I'm going to mount down the motherboard, CPU, and CPU cooler, since they're all connected. I'm going to mount the power supply, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the graphics card and the wireless card, because I actually have a wireless card on this computer. And that's through the expansion ports on the back. And then I'm going to attach the fans to the motherboard and probably some of the connectors from the case itself to the motherboard. And through the magic of editing, I will join up with you just before I attach the drives, because I do want to show you how to use these drive bays. It's really easy to do, but I just want to show you that, since it is a little bit different and it's pertaining to this case itself. So basically I'll get most of it all put in there, and I'll join you just before I put in some of the drives and maybe something that's different on the connectors. Alright, time to give you a progress report on this, and let me actually just show you what's going on here. As you can tell, I'm a little more concerned with cable management on this build here, and I routed a lot of stuff behind the motherboard, behind the back panel on the case, and it's really clean in here. So far I have the motherboard obviously in. I have the wireless card inserted. I have pretty much all the case connectors connected to the motherboard as well. I have a USB 3.0 here. I have 2 SATA ports from the top of the case plugged in there. One is for the docking station, and then the other is for the eSATA port. And so the next step in this process is to put the drive selector in. And here's the drive selector, this octopus looking thing here. It's a 3.5-inch device. It's going to fit on the front of the computer case here. And it's actually it works off of powering up and powering down your drives. So you connect all of your SATA drives through this, at least the power. You don't connect the actual drive. The drive connects still to your motherboard. That way you don't have any extra cabling or anything routing through here. It goes straight to your motherboard. This just controls the power to the drive. So you can have all 4 drives on at once. You could have 3 of the 4, you could have 2 of the 4, just 1 of the 4. You can actually shut them all off here if you'd like. Now you can get some of these selectors with keys on them. I'm pretty much going to be the only person messing with this, so I don't have to worry about that. And I'm not going to be hitting any of these things accidentally, shutting off a drive while it's in use, because that could damage a drive. Now you have some LEDs down here. I actually did an unboxing on this, and I had it installed on another machine at one time, but I decided I'd put it on my big PC build here, and maybe, experiment with Linux. This is a great way to dual boot, triple boot, quadruple boot, if you'd like, a machine without actually having to have the OS reside on the same hard drive or SSD. I'm probably going to deal with 2 data drives and 2 operating system drives. So my main operating system on this will be Windows 7 Ultimate, and then I'm going to go with an Ubuntu install on this machine as well on one of the other drives. So that should be interesting. And that is for a different video. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in one of these 5 1/4-inch bays, and the way to accomplish that is use the adapter that came with the machine. Now, if you don't have a 3 1/4-inch bay on your tower, then you're going to need an adapter. This tower came with an adapter, but if your tower doesn't come with an adapter, then you're going to need to purchase them, and they're actually pretty inexpensive. On this PC build, when it was in the other case, I actually had a couple of those adapters that I purchased. But that is what it's going to look like when it's installed. I don't know which way is down, but we'll figure it out. So here's the adapter itself, and this will fit in there, like so. And then, of course, this will go on like that, if you can see that. But before I do that, I just want to show you on the octopus end of this thing, you actually have your SATA connectors, and they're all numbered. So they correspond with the drive number on the selector itself. And then you plug your drive into this, or plug this into your drive. And then on the opposite end, you have the connectors that actually plug into your power supply. Now you have the option of using an IDE cable or a SATA cable. I'm going to be using the SATA cable. Now you have 2 of them. These are the leads that run to your power supply. You have 2 of them, so obviously one handles 2 drives. So let me get this installed, and I'll join you when that's done. Okay, so as you can see, I have it installed here, and it fits really nicely, and then this piece here frames it out nicely. You still have the cool blue accents on it. Now the one thing, this piece fitting it into the adapter wouldn't lock in with the toolless construction on this tower. But I'm pretty sure that the DVD drive will fit in there nicely. So let's pull one of these out here. And actually let me pull 2 of them out. That way I don't scratch up one of these covers. Now you could actually remove this bezel to do this, but I think it will work just fine without removing the bezel. So let me just slide this into the top compartment here. There we go. And it should lock in. There we go. Pushing from the back, nicely locked in. That toolless construction on this tower is really cool to have. Again, it didn't work with this, but it does work with your full-size drives. And it will work with the hard drives as well, and we'll show you that next. But that's what it's going to look like. Now, if I would want to release the drive, I would just hit this lever here, and then I could push it out, as you can see up front here. push it back, and it's locked into place. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach all of these SATA power ports or SATA power cords in their rightful places, and that's going to lead me to the drives. So I'm going to actually be putting 4 drives in here. Okay, I did a little bit of cable management, and I plugged in the selector, the drive selector, into the power supply. And that leaves these here to be plugged into the actual drives themselves, and I'm going to route them around the back. I'll just have them up front here for right now. Now, I've already installed my SSD here, and this is the brand new one, the Samsung one. And unfortunately, for the smaller drives like this, you can't use the toolless part to mount it, so I actually had to screw it down on here. And then it goes in real nice and easy, and that's going to be my main drive. Now the second bay here is my main data drive. And that does work with the toolless construction here. Now my Ubuntu drive is going to be this one right here. This is a, let's see what it is. It's a 640 gigabyte hard drive, and I've had this for a while in different machines. So I'm going to actually show you how the toolless installation works on this. So basically you have your area for your drive here, and you have these pins that go into where a screw would normally go. What you want to do is you want to pull those out, and these are a little sharp actually, but you just want to pop it off there. You want to do that on both sides, so I don't know if I can actually, there we go. And they're plastic. Then just take your drive, put it in, match up the holes on the side. I don't know if you can see that, but they're matched up there. And then just put these pieces back in here, and they snap in, and then you have a solid connection there. Let's do the last one here. There we go. And then slide it right in, lock it down, that's it. No screws, really easy. Now I'm going to use 4 drives on here. And so again, the main drive, the main data drive, the Ubuntu drive, and this will be my backup data drive basically. And I think I have a 200 gigabyte drive. So if I want to expand it, I could do it at a later date. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this drive in. Now this is the SSD that ran the old PC build that I have. And this is the one I'm basically replacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install it in drive bay number 4 for now. And once I have this main drive up and running the way I want it to, make sure I have all the programs on there that I want. The only reason I'm keeping this is basically backup right now, just to make sure I don't miss any programs or anything like that. I always have it right on this drive. But once I have everything up and running and going on the main drive, then I will take this out, replace it with another hard drive, that 200 gigabyte drive, and just throw it in there. So let me do that, and then I'm going to plug everything in, and then I guess the only thing left to do is install the graphics card. And the reason I'm doing that last is because it's fairly large, and I want to make sure I have all my cable management squared away before I put that in. And then once that's done, I can button up all this rat's nest of cords in the back, try and tie it down really nice with some twist ties, and get this thing up and running. And I really am proud of this job that I've done with the cable management. Again, this is going to go in back, so that's just there for now. But looks pretty nice and clean in there. Alright, so everything is finally installed in here. And as you can see, I tried to make it as clean as possible. Unlike my other case, there were a lot of cords all over the place, so I think I did a decent job on this. Even though a lot of it's going to be covered up, there's a window over this area here, so I think it's going to look nice. Let me show you the back end where I used a lot of zip ties to kind of clean things up back there. So there we go. I think I did a decent job back here, keeping everything as flat as possible and as taut as possible for the front. And that is that. So let me put the covers on, the right and left cover. So there we go. Case is all closed up. Don't really see a whole lot in there, so I didn't have to go too crazy with the cable management. But looks nice nonetheless. Alright, so here's the finished product, and I really like the case. Now if you look down here, you see my selector here, and the first drive I think I mentioned earlier in this video. The first drive is my Samsung drive. It's my Windows 7 install. The second drive here again is the data drive for Windows 7. I haven't linked those two up yet. I'm still in the process of loading all my programs on there. Probably about, I'd say, 75% done with that. This is my Ubuntu installation here, and then this is my old Windows 7 installation, which I'm going to pull that drive out once this is all squared away. I have done a little bit of messing around with Steam on Ubuntu, and I played a little bit of Left 4 Dead 2, and it runs really nicely on there, so that's actually really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire this up, and I want you to see what the machine looks like, and I'm going to show you all the different LEDs and whatnot. And we have the Windows 7 installation chosen here. And I have the fans set on medium, or low actually. There's only a low and a high. So I'll show you around this machine in a second. But it's pretty quiet. I mean, for having a lot of fans, it's a giant machine, you can definitely hear it, but it's not obnoxiously loud. So let me put the fan on high. Put it back on low. Slight difference there. Now, let me show you the top and side of this here. So let me shut off the lights in here, so you can just see the machine running itself. And move it up a little bit more. Now you can change the LEDs on this. So as you can tell, a lot of the accents on the case are blue, so I like just the blue light. But you can change it. Let me just press this button here. We've got green. And the same is true on the front of the case. I'll show you that in a second, but that's the obviously the top case fan. And then the next one here is red. See if I can get closer on that. And then we have sort of a kaleidoscope with the three colors, if you like that. And then you do sort of a solid changing of the colors there. Get the rainbow effect there. And the same is true on the front of the case, if you can see down here. So you have two of those large 200mm fans, and they have a lot of personality. So let's press the button again, and I think it's going to turn it off. There we go. So you can have it without the lights if you want. Of course, you still have the front case lights, but I like it that way. Plus it's off to the side and it's not in my face, so it's not going to be obnoxious, but I'm going to keep it like that with the blue. And then you get that sort of heartbeat on the main, around the power button here, where it kind of goes dim and gets light again. Very cool case. So there we go. I haven't totally customized it yet. I haven't put my wallpapers up. I haven't gotten all my programs installed yet. Again, probably about 75% there. Okay, before we check out the Ubuntu installation on this machine, there's one thing that's really interesting about this case, and that's the drive dock up top here. So you can take any SATA drive, whether it's a desktop hard drive or whether it's a laptop hard drive, doesn't matter. All you do is you take your drive and you slot it in the top here, plug it in, and then you can access it from my computer. So here we go. We have the SSD here, and then we have the hard drive here. So what that enables you to do, it enables you to buy internal drives and use them as backup drives. So you don't have to buy an expensive external drive with a case. You can just buy the internal drive as long as you're careful with it and not touch the components, and obviously don't throw them around or anything like that. So it'll save you some money, and it's actually a lot more compact because you don't need the external power supply or anything like that. So why don't we check out the Ubuntu installation on this machine. Alright, I'm going to deselect my Windows 7 installation and select my Ubuntu installation, and I'm going to fire this thing up, and I'll show you how quickly it pops up. Now this is running off of a hard drive, not the SSD, so it shouldn't be as quick, but it's really cool to have the ability to have multiple operating systems on here without having to deal with any bootloaders. You have a fresh install of whatever you want on whatever drive you have, and you can do up to 4 on this. Obviously if you dual boot one of the drives you can have more, but I'm only going to be using Windows 7 and then Ubuntu on the 2 different drives, but I do have the option on the 4th drive if I want to try out a different operating system. And there you go. And that was pretty quick actually, and I loaded up Steam on this and tried a little bit of Left 4 Dead 2. And as I said, playing Left 4 Dead 2 just briefly on here, very seamless, very cool to be able to play games on an Ubuntu installation. But that is my PC build. Now it has 2 operating systems on it, and I'm really happy with everything on there. The drive selector, I'm happy with the way the case looks, I'm happy with all the options on there, and I'm happy with how I dealt with the cable management on the device. So I'm really happy. I'm happy with my new room here, and hopefully I'll have the time to edit a lot of videos on this machine. So that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. If you like what you see, please subscribe. And as always, if you want to help out my channel, give me a thumbs up or favorite this video. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.